Hey everybody, never fear, Michaelantonio is here, and I'm about to give you the most accurate presidential election predictions in the history of America. Are you ready? Let's rock! Well, here we are, guys. It's election day, and it's the calm before the storm. And I am going to predict very accurately what's going to happen tonight. I shall do it. But before we go there, we got to lay some groundwork. We have to talk a little bit about what we should expect and some things that maybe you haven't thought about. So let's get into that a little bit. First, I would like to say that not only is the presidential election important, but you have a lot of down-ballot elections that must be dealt with here. If you're a supporter of Trump and the conservative agenda, you must vote Republican down ballot. You cannot allow this Congress to have a House full of Democrats right now. Remember, they are the ones who have made life miserable for Donald Trump and the agenda that we have set forth in this country. So that's first things first. Let's get rid of these Democrats in power in the House of Representatives and of course maintain the Senate. I'd actually like to see a larger Senate majority for Republicans, but again, we may not be able to get everything, but who knows? But I would like to say that it's important. It isn't just about the presidential election, even though that is obviously monumentally critical at this juncture.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Before we even dig deeper into this, just remember, guys, please subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. Hit that notification bell, very important. Like this video, and please comment with your suggestions, with your reactions to what I'm saying, if you agree with me or even if you don't. Either way, I'm going to love it, all right? I'm going to love the conversation because we have a lot to talk about here, guys. So, let's move forward with this. Like I said before, of course it's important that not only do we vote for President Trump, but we also have to vote Republican down ballot. We have to stop the House of Representatives from having a Democrat majority. Guys, let's get rid of the Democrat majority in the House. Let's maintain the Senate at the very least. I'd like to actually see a larger margin for Republicans in the Senate. I don't know, that may be too much to ask in this situation, but you know what? You never ever know. It could happen. These things have happened before. And like I said, I will be predicting here at the end of the video what's going to happen tonight in this election. Because I'm telling you, it's going to be a wild ride. I was also going to say, do you guys like the hat? You like my MAGA head? It's my stylish hat. Had it for a while. I do sell these in my store. If you go to michaelantonio.biz/shop, you will be able to get this MAGA hat. I also have some other colors too. So you're going to want that. Regardless of whether Trump takes this or not, you're going to want a MAGA hat because this movement, what we are doing in this country, believe it or not, is bigger than even this election. We have to keep this going no matter what happens tonight. And I want you to remember that. This election is not the end, win or lose. This fight will go on for years, perhaps decades. That's just the way this is. Ideologically, we are at war. We're at war with a culture of Marxism, socialism, control, globalist domination. We have to end it, and it's not going to be easy to win this war. So please, guys, go ahead and get my hats at my page. If you go to michaelantonio.biz/shop, you can get these hats. Please do. Thank you so much for watching, and let's continue with this. So, okay, one of the biggest things we have to take from tonight is that I don't want you to get all hyped up about all the polls that you have been seeing that are showing a Biden lead in these swing states. You have to remember something, and I keep having to say this, but it's critically important for you to understand this. These pollsters really haven't changed from their days when they were doing this for the last 20 or 30 years. They said, now I want you to remember this, many of you were not maybe paying attention at this time, but when George W. Bush in the second election, when he was running against John Kerry, every pollster said John Kerry was going to win that election. In fact, on election day, they began to return these like exit polling numbers, and they all said Kerry's going to run away with this. In fact, it was so convincing that even Vice President Cheney was telling his people, look, we lost this election. And so it was something that, that it was very convincing. These pollsters have a way of doing things the way they do it to make people get discouraged. Anybody that's not a Democrat can easily be discouraged by these polls. But remember, George W. Bush won the election. He won it quite convincingly, regardless of what the pollsters said on election night. So remember that. This is not just a Hillary Clinton phenomenon in 2016 when you saw that they said, she had a 98% chance to win the election. It turned out that was the opposite of what happened. So, just a little bit of understanding of specifically how they do these polls. Something some of you may not know. Believe it or not, they actually oversample Democrats by at least 7%. Let me say that again. They oversample Democrats by at least 7%. Now, you may not think that's a big deal. You might think, well, maybe there's 7% more Democrats that are voting. That's not the way this works. In the most recent polling data that they did, I believe, within the last year, they found that there is about an equal number of Democrats and Republicans that are likely voters. So you have, and actually it was 1% more Republicans. And of course, actually it was mostly independent voters. So really there were more independent voters than there were Republicans or Democrats. So you have to remember that when they talk about this stuff, they're oversampling. They literally are asking 7% more Democrats than Republicans. So when you see the results of the poll, it's almost like you might as well just go ahead and add 7%, to the Republican rolls. So for instance, if Democrats are up by 4, chances are Republicans are up by 3. Okay, I mean that's just the way it is. Okay, you don't really know. You don't really know until, of course, the election results come out, the final results. But as you can tell, they really muddy things up. They make it more difficult, for us. So, do not be discouraged when you see polls that are showing Biden up by 3, 4, 7, 10, 13 points. That's all a ruse, okay? It's all a ruse. They don't really accurately represent Republicans in those polls. Remember, Republicans are starting out from a 7-point hole right from the start. And that doesn't even include the issue of the kind of questions they ask. You have to figure out what they're asking, and again, the shy Republican Trump-supporting vote. Most Trump supporters are not going to tell a pollster what they really think. So, I mean, this thing is just out of control. Something else I want you to consider, back in 2016, all the Democrats began to say was that, what? It doesn't matter how many people show up at his rallies compared to Hillary. I would understand if the numbers were relatively close. Let's say Hillary got like 5,000 people at her rally and Trump got maybe 7 or 8 to 10,000. Then you might think, well, maybe it doesn't matter. That's not that important. But when you see Trump getting 20 to 30,000 people trying to get into his rallies, minimum, and then you have Biden that's barely getting, 10 to 20 people, I'm sorry, but they try to say it's by invitation only. That's a bunch of malarkey. These people are liars. They love to lie because they can't even help themselves. It's who they are. Okay, remember that. Remember that when Biden said in the primary election he was going to ban fracking, he was going to destroy the oil industry. He said that he would phase it out. He did say that. Okay, now all of a sudden he gets into a little debate with Trump, and what does Trump say? Trump says, hey, what about that whole fracking ban and you're going to, get rid of the oil industry? What about all that stuff? And of course, then, what does he say? Oh, no, I didn't mean that. You see, you can't trust Joe Biden. And, and I would say you really can't trust Democrats today because this is what they do. They are liars. They lie. You know what Joe Biden was doing tonight in one of his rallies? He has Lady Gaga. You know Lady Gaga? Lady Gaga is promoting him. You know who Lady Gaga supports? She supports the banning of fracking. Okay, she's actually in this, it's like an organization that is calling for the banning of fracking. So if she's supporting Biden right now, especially in the 11th hour here, when it's all over, what are you expecting? I mean, this is what you're going to get. He can say all he wants that I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that. So look, Pennsylvania voters, if you hadn't voted yet today, listen to what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that Joe Biden's going to ban fracking. He's going to destroy the oil industry. And you, if you're in that industry, any of those, power-producing industries, any energy industry, you are going to be at risk of losing your job. And I'm sorry to tell you that many of you will lose your jobs. Many of you will lose your jobs. I'll say it again. Many of you in the energy industry will lose your jobs in this country if you elect Joe Biden as your president. Don't believe him when he says he's not going to do it. He's already said a number of times that he was going to do it. And the people that are backing him up and paying him, they believe in getting rid of these energy industries and going to what they call the Green New Deal. And they don't even have the technologies and the innovations to make it work yet. Not even close, guys. So look, I want you to do this. I want you to understand you cannot vote for Joe Biden. You cannot do it. Guys, don't do it. This is really bothering me because these people, there's a lot of people that'll be duped by this guy. He'll say, oh, don't worry about it. I didn't mean that. That's not what I meant. I meant that I'm going to slowly phase it out. Well, you know what? That's not the government's job. Innovation and moving to the next level of energy has nothing to do with government, somehow prompting that or, getting that going. The government doesn't do that. The market does that. Innovations through the market does that. And it takes a lot longer than the government thinks it does, apparently. Okay, this could take another 20 years. We don't know yet, but we have to let the market decide. So guys, when you go to these polls, please, for the love of all that is good and holy, do not even look at Joe Biden's spot there. Pick Trump immediately. You've got to do this, guys, for the good of America and for the good of yourself. I'm telling you. Now, for those of you who are not in the energy industry, you know what? It's still going to affect you too, because guess what? If he destroys the energy industry here in America, we're going to have to get our oil from the Middle East once again and from other places in the world. And you know what that means? It's going to become more expensive. You're going to see gas prices go up again to close to $4 and in some cases almost $5 in some states. You're going to see it happen because right now we are energy independent. In fact, the most energy independent than we've ever been in the history of America. So what do we need to do? We need to stay that way. And the only way to stay that way is to vote Donald J. Trump. Mark my words, this is very important, guys. Now, I said I was going to make a prediction, and I think we need to get to the predictions here. Okay, I'll break it down by some of the swing states here that I think are very critical. And look, I think it's still very possible that Joe Biden wins the popular vote. Again, because of California and New York, you have a lot of population centers there that are so heavily concentrated with Biden-type Democrat leftist voters that they're probably going to get him over the top as far as the popular vote. And that doesn't even talk about Houston and cities like that in Texas, maybe Dallas, Houston, you have, Chicago, you have the Miami-Dade area in Florida. They are probably going to go heavily for Biden, so that's going to help him win the popular vote. which is why I love the Electoral College, because we don't go by mob majority. That's something else that I want you to understand. Very important to understand this. The mob majority cannot control an election. We cannot allow them to control how we are governed, because these population centers in New York City and Miami and Los Angeles and San Francisco, all these big population centers, they've been indoctrinated by the education system to believe in leftism, the Democrat way. And so you don't even stand a chance. When they're indoctrinated from childhood, practically out of the womb, they're indoctrinated to believe in Democrat talking points and all these philosophies, these leftist philosophies. It's going to be very difficult to get them out of this. So we need the Electoral College, guys. Very important. So this is the way I see this breaking down. It's very critical, guys, so please pay attention. I think Florida, it's looking like it's going to Trump. In the early voting, the Democrats didn't get the pop that they wanted. Oh, by the way, this is true in almost every other state as well. They didn't get the pop they thought they were going to get, because a lot of Democrats usually vote early now. And now they're not seeing the numbers that they thought they were going to see. And again, that's because not too many people are excited about Joe Biden. They just don't like Trump. The people that are really seething in their hatred for Trump, they're going to come out and they're going to vote. We already know that, guys. But you're not seeing a lot of the excitement for a Biden-Harris ticket. Because first of all, I think a lot of Democrats are terrified of Harris. They truly are. But they figure, look, some of them hate Trump more than they hate Harris, but they're like, man, this is still not a good thing. They're still not very excited about it. So a lot of them probably won't even come out. And we're seeing that in early voting. So I think Florida is going to swing to Trump. By how much, I can't tell you that. I think it's going to be more comfortable than people are believing. I think you're going to see it be. He'll pretty much be declared the winner of Florida. I think within at least 2 or 3 hours of all of these networks shutting down for the night. I think it's going to be. Florida may be one of the first swing states that is called for Trump, and I really believe that. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, North Carolina, that's a critical one. From the indications, again, I want to go back to the idea of the rallies and how much excitement that Trump is generating from these rallies. There was a rally just the other day in Hickory, North Carolina. They had so many people trying to get into the rally that it was just craziness. The airport had to shut down. They said, we do not have room for all these people. And mind you guys, it's an airport. Airports have some of the most space available anywhere in the world. Airports are massive. This airport could not fit all the Trump supporters that wanted to get in there. I want you to think about that for a minute. This is North Carolina. They say a very big battleground swing state. They thought that it would go for Biden, and guess what? It's not doing what they said it was going to do. I have a feeling that this is going to go big for Trump as well. Now, again, for time's sake, let's go up to Michigan. That's going to be a tough one. I don't know if Trump's going to take Michigan. He may or may not, but I think that it's going to be close enough to where this is going to be one of those states, maybe similar to Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. It's going to be one of those states where we may not know tonight. We may not know tonight. Simple as that. Now, does that mean that Trump isn't going to be a decisive winner tonight? No, it just means that that state, Michigan, and perhaps Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's going to be more solidly in the Trump camp. Minnesota, that's an outlier. I don't know if Minnesota's going to go to Trump. I don't know, but I know that it could. I mean, we're going to see some surprises tonight for sure, but I'm going to tell you that Michigan, maybe Wisconsin, those states, it may be a while before we figure out who wins those. Now, I'm going to go to Pennsylvania. This is my shock pick of the night, okay? I want you to pay attention to this. I think Pennsylvania goes decisively for Trump. Pay attention. Decisively for Trump, simply because, again, the energy industry is scared. You have a lot of people that work in the energy industry there in Pennsylvania, and I don't think they trust Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden has proven that he's a liar. I think that what's going to happen is that they're going to say, you know what? I don't trust this guy. I heard him say that he was going to shut down the energy industry, and you know what? He's saying now that he's not. I don't believe him. I just don't believe him. I think you're going to get a lot of voters like that. A lot of them. So I say Pennsylvania goes decisively for Trump. Now, it's not going to be a massive win. He's not going to win by 10 points, but I think he wins decisively by at least 3 to 4 points minimum. I really believe that. I believe that's going to happen in Pennsylvania. And I think for that reason, he's going to win North Carolina. Trump is also going to win Pennsylvania. He's going to win Florida. I don't know if he even needs Michigan. I don't think he does. So that may not go to him, but I don't think he's going to need Michigan or Wisconsin because he's going to take Ohio. He may take Arizona. Everybody's trying to say Arizona is going to go to Biden, but I got to tell you guys, I just don't think Arizona is going to go Biden. I just don't think it is. And I think, another big shocker, California and New York, I think California and New York are not going to be as decisively for Biden as you think they are. I think there's going to be some nervous people till the end, although I do think California will fall to Biden and also New York. But it's going to be a lot closer than it normally has been. And, that's your indication of who's going to win this election. So, one more thing before I actually pick who's going to win this election. So, hey, stay tuned. Stay with me, guys. I'm going to talk about some of the down ballot situations. We need, again, like I had said before, we need to win the House back and we need to maintain the Senate at the very least. I believe I'm going to make a bold prediction that we not only hold on to the Senate, but I think we get a bigger lead. I think we're going to actually make a very strong case in the Senate. Now, as far as the House goes, I think we can take the House, but that's going to be tough because the Democrats really did a number on us during the midterms. So I think the House might very well go to Republicans. This could be one of those repudiation elections where everybody's tired of what the Democrats and the leftists have done to Trump over the last 4 years and what they've done to his supporters. They've done a number on many of us. It's such a horrible thing they've done. The lying, the cheating, the looting, the murdering. It's the worst. You want to talk about a basket of deplorables? I think Hillary was right, but she was right about the wrong people. It really was the people that support Democrats that have turned into the basket of deplorables. And again, before you get angry at me, if you're a Democrat listening to this, I'm not necessarily talking about you. It's only some of you. Believe it or not, some of you are just fully deplorable and horrible people. Not all of you. So I don't want to accuse you all. So please don't take it that way. Please do not. So I will say that right now we're going to at least maintain the Senate. And man, I hope we take the House, but who knows? You just never know in these situations. But I do want to tell you guys that it's important, even though I make these predictions, you got to go out and vote. That's how you're going to make this happen. You got to go do it. Don't rest on the laurels of polls that say, oh, look, he's close enough, he's going to win this. No. If you go out and vote, and this is my firm belief, if every single Trump supporter gets up and goes out and votes, not only do we win this, but we win it decisively. It could be a 10-point win, easily, or more, if everybody goes. Now, I realize that not every Trump supporter is going to go out and vote. There's going to be some that just won't do it for whatever reason. But I say if 98% of them go out there and vote, man, it's going to be a slaughter. We will destroy them. You want to talk about a red wave? Red tsunami? It'll be a red Noah's flood. This world will be flooded with red, baby. I believe it. So be ready for that. So again, here's the final prediction. Drum roll, please. Yes, Trump is going to take this election. He's definitely going to take the Electoral College, and he might also take the popular vote, depending on, I believe, what happens in Michigan and Wisconsin. I believe that's going to be the deciding factor. But also, again, you got to think about California and New York. If Trump can get close enough in those states, he can pick up a lot of votes there and get over the top as far as the popular vote. Not that he needs it. I'm just saying this might be a bigger victory than 2016 for Donald Trump. I mean, the crowds are amazing. I've never seen anything like this before, guys. And I don't think you have either. And they can say all they want that crowds don't matter. I'm telling you, because of the difference in the crowds, it's not anecdotal evidence. It would be anecdotal evidence if it was only one place where they had a crowd like that. This is happening every time he sets down on the tarmac with his airplane Every time Air Force One sets down, there's hundreds of thousands of people, it seems like, waiting for it. Now, it's not that many. In some cases, it probably was. But it was a lot of people were waiting for him every time he got down on the tarmac. I mean, it's just craziness, man. They don't even stop. They don't even stop. And you notice I didn't talk about the virus because, you know what, to be honest with you, even though the Democrats, that was their biggest card to use in this election, and it might have swayed some voters. I think the low information, low thinking voters actually took that into account. But I think that people, smart people, wise people, realize that, you know what, this virus is what it was. It happened. It's still happening. It's not a great thing. It's not a good thing. But Trump did the best he could. He prevented millions of deaths. That's a fact, guys. That is a fact. Take it to the bank. So, again, my final prediction, Trump takes this vote. He takes this election again, and he will have a second term, and we are going to do a great thing. We're going to do some amazing things in this next 4 years. We're going to change the face of this country back to what it should be. Okay, people who love their country, who love America, and we put America first, guys. It's important. And again, Trump has said this a number of times. It's not that we don't want to help other countries. It's not that we're putting America only. It's not that. It's that we're putting America first. Because if you can make yourself stronger, you have the strength to help others. Remember that. I want you to remember that. Think of it on a personal level. How can you help somebody if you can't even help yourself? Let's say you're someone who is poor. How are you going to go out and help somebody else who's poor if you're poor too? If you can't do anything for them, what good is it? But now let's say you go out and you get a great career, you got a great job, you're making good money, you're supporting yourself and your family, and then one day you see a homeless guy that really needs your help. You see somebody out there that is a person in need. And now you say, you know what, I have the resources. I can actually lend them a hand. I can do something for them now. That's America right now. We have to be able to help ourselves. We have given up so much to other countries and other groups of people around the world, and now we're depleted. Okay, and we have got to build ourselves up, and that's going to take a while, but then we can help others. We can do more. But we've got to take a break from this, guys. We have got to put America first. So, one more plea to you. Get out there and vote. Make my predictions come to reality. Understand that. And remember, one more thing again, I have to say this. Please, subscribe to my page. Hit that notification bell. Like this video and comment on it. Give me your ideas. I don't care if you hate what I'm saying. Tell me you hate it and tell me why. But one thing I ask of all my viewers, everybody that ever listens to me or sees me and what I have to say, I want you to come up with viable reactions, viable rebuttals if you don't agree with me. Because you know what? I hear people just say very, very ignorant, rude things and they don't have a viable rebuttal. I want you to make me think. I want you to make me actually say, you know what, this person has a little bit of a point there and I'm going to have to address that. I don't see that very often. I don't. The left wing is just very mean. They just want to attack your character. They don't really have good arguments. At least so far, I haven't seen any. But I'm interested in seeing them. Are you a leftist out there that has good arguments? Give them to me in this video and in all the videos you see. I encourage you to watch all my videos. You're going to see videos come up at the end of this, and there are going to be links to them. Go ahead and click on those videos. Watch more of them, and I want your comments because you know what? I'm here to exchange ideas with you. I don't care if you don't agree with me. I want to exchange ideas. I want us to grow as a nation and as a people. And the only way we can do that is if we learn and grow from one another, okay? How does that sound, guys? Okay, I'm going to go now, but I want to tell everybody, be encouraged today. Do not be afraid. Don't listen to the polls. The polls are going to tell you early on that Trump is going to lose this election. They did it with John Kerry against George W. Bush. They tried doing it with Hillary Clinton, too. You know what? Don't believe them. Just get your butt out there, get to the polls, and vote. Don't be afraid. I don't care if you got to spend 2 or 3 hours in a line. I want you to pretend that this is the most important election of your life, because it very well may be. Okay, guys? Thank you so much for watching, and God bless. Ciao, everybody.